Oh,
All right. I think I figured out how to get this on.
it's I almost had a panic attack then. It's like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I found a way to finally turn it on, and it definitely, you got to do it from your phone. You can't do it from your PC.
Oh, okay, well, there we go. We've learned it. You can't do it from a phone. It has to be from a PC. It has to be from a phone. I decided to use my iPad just so that everything was big enough for me to actually read. Otherwise, it's so small.
Sorry, I'm late. I had to do my hair. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was going to say I needed to do mine, but most of it's on my face at the moment. Haven't had a chance to put that down. So, we've just got a few extra people joining now, so I'll just have a bit of a chat to introduce who we're talking to today. We're talking to Paul, and Paul Frasca is here from Sustainable Salons Australia, but also Sustainable Salons New Zealand. They're one of the supporting partners of the NZARH, so we just thought with this time in lockdown to help your days go a little bit better, rather than sitting around watching soaps on television, you can have a bit of a chat with us. So, welcome, Paul.
Thanks for having me, Nick. Yeah, it's really good to be here and in lockdown, I guess, right?
Yeah. So whereabouts are you at the moment?
So I'm actually at the office of our HQ here in Sydney. Just about 85% of all of our staff are working from home. And there's just me and two others that are just here at the office, just making sure, because we've still got operations still happening right across Australia. Very different to New Zealand, but it's kind of still sporadically working. But to be honest, it's extremely complicated, Australia, because each state is kind of taking up their own way of approach, rather than New Zealand, because you've got the amazing Jacinta, where you guys had a really clean way of actually stopping everyone together, and it looks like you're going to pretty much reboot together. So yeah.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have the Prime Minister that we do, I think, just looking around the world and seeing what is happening with everybody else. Yeah. So worldwide as well, sustainability is a really big thing at the moment. We've sort of seen how the pollution rates have gone down because everybody's in traffic and doing kind of things like that. So what's the general kind of feeling in Australia at the moment with the hairdressing community?
Oh, yeah, look, the hairdressing community, it's funny, I get to really feel both, right, from New Zealand and Australia. And to be honest, in Australia, it has been a little bit confusing for most. If I go back and rewind about 4 weeks when this kind of really all started and the heat was really being putting on, everyone was realising, oh my God, this is about to happen. Confusion was rampant because we weren't getting a real clear information from the government. So we really had to come up with our own theories, which is very dangerous, of course. And the government was telling us, okay, we're needing people to go home, but just probably like you heard, hairdressing was not being told that at all. Hairdressing was just basically kept out of the conversation, meaning that we could stay open. And then with the AHC here in Australia, we really kicked into gear to try to come up with what is our narrative to this, because what is our stance. And from what we were hearing across the board is people weren't feeling safe. People did want to go home, and the government really made it a bit difficult for us to understand what that meant with they call it over here JobKeeper payments. So that's basically how we're all getting paid from the government, and they weren't giving clear indications. So over time, and then going now 2 more weeks, we got that clarity, and that clarity really made us all breathe a little bit better. But still, it's been very confusing. And to give just some examples, like Victoria, so think of each of the states kind of came up with their own rules. Victoria really went to level 3 much earlier than every other state. Brisbane basically shut their borders down. So for organisations like Sustainable Salons, where we have vehicles crossing those borders, we were really put into limbo on how to deal with that. And but again, there wasn't clear information. And then, of course, Western Australia decided to just do a complete shutdown of their state, and they started putting even kind of borders within the state. So they didn't want people travelling to the vineyard areas and just, because everyone was feeling unsafe.
Okay. So for Sustainable Salons, what does that mean for you? You halve the amount of work you're doing, or are there some states you're not working out of at all now, or is it a bit of a wind down?
Oh no, definitely not a wind down. We wish if Australia, let's say, took the New Zealand approach. So if I use New Zealand as the case study compared to Australia, is that New Zealand gave us some really clear guidelines on how to actually shut down sustainable salons. So work with all our salons as they were closing. We closed with them, and basically we all had to basically be told to go home. It's level 4. Very clear indication of what to do. So to be honest, it's been really easy to work with now in New Zealand at the moment. Compare that to Australia, where we technically still haven't shut down. So even though we went to level 3 in Victoria, you could still open your salon. The government really was now saying, okay, well, you guys can now do only 30-minute appointments. That, of course, doesn't work in hairdressing or beauty. And basically then they released that and said, okay, you guys can now do over 30 minutes, but you have to stand within a perimeter, of about 1.5 meters of each client. So it made the choices much better, which meant about 30% of sustainable salons stayed open. And that was their choice. And of course, we're here to support them because, of course, they're going to need our services right through that. So we basically had to reduce a lot of our load where our staff weren't, okay, they're not getting as much work as they used to. But again, we've been guaranteed to still service them right through this period. And to be honest, it's been good. My team is amazing. 80%, like I said, 85% now working from home. I consider ourselves quite young thinkers, so we do know how to use technology quite well, and we adapted fast. And within our model, we could actually adapt to this kind of craziness that was happening around Australia. So we are still servicing those salons. And what's really unique is this week is actually a lot of salons are now starting to say, you know what, I think I'm ready to come back. And they're coming back in very different ways, which I'm happy to discuss, but they are coming back now in some form or another. And I'm estimating over the next 2 weeks, we're probably going to see another probably 30% of our salons probably coming back online and wanting to start getting some cash through their tills.
Okay, great. So if we're thinking about New Zealand for sustainable salons, you've obviously had Auckland has been up and running for, is it about 2 years now?
Yeah, year and a half, I would say.
Okay, and just before the shutdown here, you were doing a launch in Wellington and one in Christchurch. And I remember that I couldn't come to the Christchurch one, and a couple of the team had come and see me in Christchurch beforehand, but I could go to the Wellington one. So Pip and I were going to Wellington, so we had meetings there all day, and then I had one in the afternoon, and then we were coming to see Sustainable Salons in the evening, and of course that didn't go ahead. So, what are you hoping is going to happen there, Paul? What does that look like for you for Wellington and Christchurch?
Oh, it's a really good question. And to be honest, we had been working. So yes, you're right. So Auckland has been off the ground for about a year and a half now. It's been going really well. We have amazing members who have joined up to the program to really show that New Zealand was ready for such a program because we didn't know in the early days. We're such a unique type, I guess, organisation, but we were heavily embraced, and we thought we were hearing a lot from Wellington and Christchurch. They really wanted to also be on the program, and they wanted to be part of this movement that we've created. So we had to work for over a year to set up all the infrastructure needed. Because we're a physical program, it's not something we can just start overnight. We had to set up the infrastructure needed for Wellington and Christchurch. So what that meant is we had to kind of make a decision on building another depot. We couldn't build 2 more depots. We had to choose to put a depot in one of these cities. So we had a lot of tendering process going on. In the end, we chose Christchurch as our depot with the lovely guys from Kilmarnock. It's a disability organisation in Christchurch. And again, anyone who knows Sustainable Salons knows we work heavily in this space. Over 4 of our depots are now fully operated with people with disabilities. So your material from the salon comes back to our sites. It then gets sorted, processed, so your ponytails get measured, your foils getting crushed and being sold, and the proceeds are being donated to Kiwi Harvest and so forth. So these guys and girls get to do all these amazing jobs and provide work for the towns. And the reason we chose Christchurch over Wellington was really also for the need that we knew Christchurch needed the work more than Wellington. We were hearing a lot of things about lots of companies. You guys have been through hell and back with earthquakes and massacres, and now this. But basically we thought look, strategically, we want to make sure that we're going to the place that needs us the most, because that's who we are as an organisation. We're a social enterprise, and we want to make sure that we're delivering community benefits back into each area that we go to. So basically, after choosing Kilmarnock as our partner, we've been setting up the site with them, getting it ready to launch, which was a month ago. Basically, we got that all off the ground. We then started alerting all the salons in Wellington, Christchurch. Everyone was getting excited. We even started preparing all the salons, let's say signing them up to the program. We had all the bins even sent out to the salons, so they were receiving their bins. They were literally a week away from us launching the program in both Wellington and Christchurch, because we're doing them together at the same time, launching both states. And bloody Corona hit us, right? So Devon, who is our manager there in New Zealand, he was literally in Wellington, and he's like, he gives me the phone call. He's like, I think they're shutting this whole city down. I need to get back to Auckland. And we're like, yeah, it's happening. So basically, like everyone, we had to just put a complete pause. We just let everyone know in Christchurch and Wellington that we're ready to start, that we're just going to pause. We're just going to wait for New Zealand to get back online. So it's all set up still. We got our drivers in place for both Wellington and Christchurch. The depot is ready to go. So as soon as all this is over, we'll just touch base with all the salons again, let you all know, and we'll put a new start date in place. And let's get this off the ground, because, I know people have been waiting, for pretty much 2 years now, for us to be down there. So I think it's about time.
Great. So that's really awesome to hear. So just some of the background, I guess. Some people kind of still aren't sure what it is that Sustainable Salons actually does and how it is that it works. So could you just give us an idea? People say, how much is this going to cost me, is one of the things I hear all the time. And what can we actually recycle? And the other question we get quite a bit is, what's any different from the city council picking up the rubbish, for example? But in Christchurch, they don't do that for city centre, like for where my salon is, and they don't actually supply any bins at all. So we have to do our own if we were going to anyway. So for us, that's actually a really big appeal. But if you can just run over some of those things with us, Paul, that'd be great.
Definitely. And the first thing I like to tell everyone is we're not just a recycling organisation. So what is Sustainable Salons? We're a comprehensive resource recovery service. We're designed specifically for the salon environment. We reward you for being part of the program. And 100% of everything that we collect from your salon is then redirected back into local communities and charitable programs. So let me explain. So as a comprehensive resource recovery service, we provide over an 8-bin infrastructure that comes inside your salon. So this is what separates all the materials, the hair, the chemicals, the metals. So we have all of this amazing infrastructure that separates the materials. And then we're specifically designed to salon environments. So hair, beauty, and even dog groomers get to join our program because, they're cute and they're just like hair salons. And basically, that's all we do. So if you're outside of those industries, again, we like cafes, we just don't do it. We just say no because we're specifically designed. So basically, from collecting these these materials, we can then do all these amazing things. And I'll just give you some examples. So basically, with like the hair that we collect, we have a hair bin, which we're the only collectors of hair pretty much in the world, but we collect human hair. And we decided to want to turn this into a commodity. So that's been our greatest challenge, is how do we stop looking at hair as waste and start looking at it as a resource? So for 4 years now, we've been putting research into studying hair. We know hair is really good to soak up oil spills. So we've decided to really get the evidence to prove this theory, which we've done now. That was 2 years ago. We've proved that theory. And now we're actually in the production of actually developing and making booms and deploying them. So who are the types of people that use them? So we have them for not only for charitable groups that want to have them ready to go in case of an oil spill that comes into their land. So we have them now prepared for the Great Barrier Reef. So if there's ever an oil spill up there, that we have enough hair booms to be deployed to go and actually benefit local communities up there. But we're also working with councils where they actually use them to stop when the oil comes out of your home. Let's say you're washing your dishes, your water goes into a water trapment. And our booms are actually being used now to soak up that oil before it actually enters the sea. So we're going to be sharing with everyone later this year what that actually looks like, videos and some little documentaries on that, because to be honest, it's just so fascinating, right? That we can actually now do this and stop hair just being a waste product. There's also some really interesting research we're doing also in hair as a fertilizer as the future. Hair has a lot of proteins and amino acids, and we're actually now working a lot with understanding just how we can have those proteins and amino acids then benefiting the soil correctly. Because most people say to us, oh, you can use hair for composting. Not really. We've worked a lot in this space. Composting is not the right answer for hair. It doesn't break down well, and it has to be done in a controlled environment for it to be useful. So we want to also release some information on that because we don't like myths getting out there. Some other really things we do with hair is ponytails. So we're actually now the largest donor of ponytails in the Southern Hemisphere. In the last 4 years, we've collected over 90,000 ponytails for medical wigs, both across Australia and New Zealand. So we educate hairdressers, because I'm a hairdresser just like you, and you're probably the same. Like, we never sent in ponytails. We never knew that there was a problem. We never knew that we had to cut these off and send them through. But when we found out at Sustainable Salons that there was this whole problem with ponytails in the background, that they weren't being delivered correctly to charitable groups, well, we had to make sure that we put something in place. So prior to Sustainable Salons, the hair extension market totally wiped out in the last 20 years the medical wig market. And what I mean wiped it out is 20 years ago, before hair extensions, you could get a wig made for under $2,000. Now, since hair extensions, that price nearly went up to $20,000 because all the quality hair was now going to the commercial market. So we knew it was our responsibility to solve this problem. And we've done it so well, I think, now that we are now lifeblood and we get that hair. So when you send us a ponytail, we have a whole team now that grades, sort, and process them into different colors. So just like you see your color wheels. And then basically we shoot them out to all the different wig makers. And to do a big shout out to one of the most amazing wig makers in the Southern Hemisphere, he's actually in Dunedin, to the guys at Freedom Wigs, an amazing wig maker. We've been working with them for many years, and they actually supply one of the highest quality wigs in the world. And it's just been amazing to work with them and just watching the process of how you make a wig. Some other really cool things we do is all the metals out of your salon. So think of the foil, the color tubes. Now, this makes up 68% of your salon's waste. That is valuable metal, right? So we've been throwing this away for all these years, we never realized how valuable this is in two areas. One, it's infinitely recyclable. So it can be recycled forever and ever and ever. And to put that into comparison, paper can only be recycled once. Right. So aluminium, infinitely. So we should never have thrown it away. Australia goes through over 1 million kilos of foil each year to foil hair. In New Zealand, 400,000 kilos of foil gets used each year to foil hair. And we've just been dumping it. So we've changed this now to not only educate you about how to recycle it correctly, we then donate all the proceeds from selling off that metal to Kiwi Harvest and Oz Harvest. So it's really cool there. So we've provided over 100,000 plus meals by just selling off your waste. And I think that really connects to the consumer. You know, you come in now to a sustainable salon to get your hair done, and your stylist is like, you know, we're selling off all your foils, and a full head of foils contributes to a quarter of a meal to a homeless person, right? It's just showing and connecting those two together.
I guess that's a really good way for salons as well to kind of, you know, for that feel-good story to be able to tell our clients, you know, we're not just about the fashion. What it is that we actually do is we care about our communities. And like you say, if you've got 4 sets of foils in for the day, you've actually bought a meal for somebody that needs it. So it's a great opportunity to be able to sort of market your own salon like that, but also, you know, the feel good that you get from doing it.
Well, you know what I'm just seeing what's on your face, which is our latest project, is shampoo bottles in the glasses. You know, we did this one last year. We wanted to show that basically that, you know, you're always hearing this plastic negativity story. And Evelina and I were just like, is it that hard? Is it really this hard? Why is recycling so negative? And why is people not really starting to understand about the real problem? And we decided to really, because we were figuring out now how to deal with metal, how to deal with paper and plastics. We're like, wait a second, we know how to do all this. Why are the big guys not doing this right? And I'll talk a little bit about that later. But so what we did is the big plastic story is the big one. Everyone's always like, plastic, you can't recycle it. Well, we make these from shampoo bottles. 100% of the whole product is made, the frame is made in Australia in just 2 states. we didn't have to send it to China. We didn't have to send it anywhere. And what we're going to do is show the same thing in New Zealand, that we can keep the plastic there, we can recycle it and manufacture it and resell it all within the country. Nothing needs to go abroad, because this isn't rocket science.
Yeah. Also, that's so great.
The possibilities are so unique, and the good things with this is now you can buy them in 14 different stores across Australia and New Zealand. The company's called Dresden Vision, and you can order your shampoo glasses online, or even in our reward store, or just go into one of their stores and they'll give you the whole experience.
Right. So you're just talking about your reward store there, Paul. Do you want to talk about that just for a little bit as well?
Yeah, so as a salon joins our program, basically you're being rewarded, so you earn reward points, and each week you get these reward points that are put into your account, and we have a big online reward store. So behind the scenes you then log in, and we have lots of things in there, but the reward store is not about getting mobile phones and headphones and that type of stuff. It's about elevating you to a whole better sustainable level. So the best experience I give with this is when you sometimes go to buy toilet paper, right? You're like, I can buy the traditional one or the recycled one, and the traditional one's $1 and the recycled one's $1.50, right? And you tend to go for the cheaper one because we're all just built that way, right? And in the reward store, you just see points. So you're like, you know what? Everything in there is designed to be the environmental choice, the better choice, but now this is a place where you've got lots of points, and you're just going to be like, you know what, I just want toilet paper, I want foil made from recycled aluminium, I want biodegradable gloves. I'm making you get all the right items to elevate your salon to the next level of sustainability. And because there's one thing about being part of our program, but it's also another to make sure that you're consuming that way constantly. And that's a real key to sustainability. So most salons can easily expect to now never pay for foil again. You never have to buy your gloves again, because it's all these rewards given back to you. But maybe would you like me to explain how the cost works about the program?
That's the money deal, isn't it? Everybody's in there. How much is it going to cost?
Oh, and really it's a very simple way. We designed this. Look, I used to be a salon owner, right? So 20 years ago, I knew what it was like. And I knew if someone brought to me a project like this, the first thing I would have said was like, you know, great, but how much? And I remember thinking about this, and I said to Evelina, look, we're a very different type of organisation, and we're not just about recycling, as you can tell now, right? So people compare us to their waste service, right? And I say, what does your waste service even do for you, right? It doesn't do anything. So there's no wonder they're cheap, because they just throw it in landfill. So we don't want to be compared to that. To actually do good and make sure people get wages, so at Kilmarnock, that people with disability get a full wage, they're not just getting micro wage, to employ the right people, to do the right benefits and give to charity, it's going to cost a lot more. So Evelyn and I were thinking, well, if I was a boss, I wouldn't want that cost put onto me, but I would actually rather put it onto the consumer. So we designed a way to do this is where it actually costs nothing for the salon to be part of the program. All we ask is that you add a $2 sustainable salon fee on the end of your bills. So if a client comes to get a cut and colour, there's a little fee that goes on the end of the bill, kind of like a credit card fee that you see. It just sits at the bottom and says sustainable salon $2, and that includes GST, and basically that's it. So that's all it costs for a salon to be part of the program. There's no hidden fees anywhere or anything like that. And we basically monitor that through your software system. So, Nick, what software are you with?
With NZARH, we use Timely or Katoomba, are the two companies we deal with.
They're both awesome organisations. Love Ryan and the guys there. And basically, they've automated our $2 in your system. So every time a client's exiting, it just automatically sits on the bill. So as a boss, you don't even have to think about it. And if the client asks, you know, what is this? We've got lots of marketing material, and, you know, we always say just show them what we do. And most people, 99.9% of the time, they just overwhelmingly in support of what we're doing and the work that we're doing behind the scenes, because not only we can recycle their waste, we can actually plug it right back into their communities and show the support within their local communities too.
That sounds great. Sounds really good.
Yeah.
I guess, what have we done? We've done about 25 minutes. Is there anything else that you want to have a bit of a chat about before we sign off? And then we'll put this online, and if anybody's got any extra questions about it, they can write them up.
Yeah, look, maybe love to chat a little bit about what's happening at the moment. It's such a unique time with Corona, and maybe to help some people in New Zealand understand what's happening maybe in Australia, because I think that we've come now past the fear part. I think a lot of salon owners now are thinking how to reboot. This whole new question is going to come up, the reboot. So I've been chatting with lots of different general managers, lots of salon owners, and getting a bit of a vibe, a heartbeat of the industry. Some really cool things I've been hearing at the moment in Australia, for example, as they're coming back, they're doing it in teams, in shifts. So if you're a salon that's got 8 people, they're putting 4 in first. You would do the morning shift and 4 in the afternoon, and they're just going to trial that out for 2 weeks, see what the vibe's like within the salon. And the reason they're doing this is also a security, just in case, worst case thing happens where a team gets infected. Well, they know that they can pull out that team, disinfect the salon, and still have the other team then going back in and still working. It's giving you that safety net just in case. And I think it's really important we start talking about this as an industry, because we want to be as safe as possible. This is never going to be 100% proof when you come back in the salon. I think we've got to get that nice and clear. Until there's a vaccine, it's not going to happen. We're not going to survive 6 months of everyone sitting at home. I think we'll kill each other. I think divorce rates will skyrocket like what happened in China. I heard divorce rates in Wuhan were outside the roof. But basically, I'm sure everyone wants their kids going back to school too. But basically, we're going to have to come back in a really responsible manner. And I think the best we can do as an industry is start talking about what we can do. So at Sustainable Salons, what we're doing for our members right now is we're loading up on all the things you're going to need. Gloves, masks, we have sanitizers, we've even got one here, we've got hospital disinfectants. These are things you're going to need real quick. They're going to be really hard to get. These are not easy to get your hands on. Even for people like me, we're flying the masks in. That's how hard they are right now. And they're even getting blocked at the borders. So China won't let them release. And so it's going to be companies like us to our salons being kind of like a responsibility to start trying our best to get those things ready for you, because you're all going to want them. And I think your clients are going to expect you for the first weeks to, take those precautions. So I just.
And that's one of the things that we're looking at here as well. Obviously, I'm not sure whether you saw recently, yesterday, we got the news from the government that we're looking at maybe going down to level 3 next week. But hairdressing and massage, manicurists, anybody that's a front-facing industry that works with clients won't be able to actually go back to work. So, we were really lucky that hairdressing was actually named and said you won't be going back to work. So that took a lot of that confusion out of it. So we're really disappointed, obviously, because we want to get back to work. And but for us, it's actually the safety, managing to get back there safely for our clients, for our teams that are going back, and just for the communities that we interact with. So we're actually looking now at kind of seeing what it is that we can do and put in place, because of course it looks like probably next week a lot of people will be going back for level 3, and then we'll have a few weeks or maybe a month or so after, we don't know how long. But that's a great opportunity to put some of these things in place. So NZARH are actually going to put a health and safety program plan together for our members, so that people can go there and they know what it is they need to do. Because one of the other things they're doing is that WorkSafe New Zealand will actually have a system where you have to register your salon to say, yes, you've actually got your plan up to date and you're doing those things. So we're seeing if we can actually organise that with the association. So if you're a member of the association, you're getting that, and so straight away you're a little bit more prepared to go back. And we're looking at those same kind of things. This is the minimum level required, but do we just want the minimum, or do we want to step it up a little bit to make sure that we are safe? So kind of good. If we've got to look at the good of something, we've got to have that extra couple of weeks or so. To kind of look at those things, to put them in place, to find where it is that because they still haven't decided about PPE yet and what it is that PPE might look like, depending on like some of them it's full headgear and masks and the full boiler suits. It's just a little mask or some gloves. So so we're still not sure what's happening with that. So it gives us the opportunity to find that out, do some research, get some really good information back, and then make decisions from there. So. Yes, great. So I've just seen a message come up from, I think it was down in Dunedin, wanting to know when it is that the Sustainable Salons are going to Dunedin. And if it is going into Dunedin, would you have a plant there that would come to Christchurch? Would that be the...
Well, first of all, Evelina and I are addicted to the South Island. We come every year because we love snowboarding, and last year we did a round trip through Dunedin, and it was really nice. And it was actually my second time to Dunedin, but Evelina's first. We love it, by the way, driving around. And basically, yes, Dunedin is definitely on our books. What we need to do now is establish our territory, which are the main two, of course, Christchurch, Wellington. I can't say enough. The only way our program works is by actually having people join up to the program, be part of it, because if the numbers just aren't there, it's completely unviable for us. Think of it like a hair salon only having a regular 50 clients where you really need about 500 clients, and that's what it's all about. So your support is everything. So we're going to really see how this goes over the next 6 months and year across Christchurch and Wellington. We're seeing already huge support in Wellington. They're signed up really fast and so forth. Christchurch has been a little bit slower. Everyone's just waiting and taking their time, which I totally understand. We don't like pressuring anyone to our program. It's not like that. But we hope over time people really start to not just hear what we have to say, maybe start researching and reading a little bit about it. Going on our website, we have things like called the Green Chair newspaper. It's a digital paper and also a physical paper. It will tell the whole story. And I think once people understand the whole story and how the price works, they start to breathe a lot easier. And they're like, oh, okay, this is doable. Like, I could do this and see the benefits. And Christchurch, if you get that right, you're going to be the greatest asset to Dunedin, because you're going to be the depot where all that material will be feeding to. So it's kind of like a real balancing act. So basically, we're not a product. We are a physical service. So I always say, please understand that. And, Christchurch, you will play a big role here, and we do need your support down there to just get on board. And like I said, so we can bring all those jobs to Christchurch.
Great. So, Paul, I've had a couple of other people. I think Jackie from Slither, I think it is in Dunedin, has said that should be interested as well. So I know that when you were coming to Christchurch, people sort of signed up to say that they had some interest. Will you do a similar kind of thing? So people will just be able to go online and say that they're really interested in Dunedin. And then obviously as those numbers grow, then you can look at doing that a little bit more. So I guess one of the other things is that talking about the relationship that NZARH and the Sustainable Salons have. So one of the things that NZARH are looking at doing is I guess partnering with people that have similar kind of values to what it is that we do. And as we grow, we want to help other companies. So there's definitely a partnership there, or a friendship between Sustainable Salons and NZARH. So I just like everybody to sort of keep watching with that, because I know that with Sustainable Salons, if you're not a member, then you can actually go online and with Sustainable Salons, when you do, and then in the store you can buy the equivalent of, like, I think it's a month's free use of NZARH. So there's the possibility of being able to do that, and we're looking at doing similar kind of stuff as well, obviously with other companies that we work with as well. So we're fairly new to it, only having been around for about 18 months ourselves in the present form that we're doing. So we just profile people that are doing the same kind of stuff that we'd like to. So thanks for coming and having a bit of a chat to us today. Obviously people know where it is that you are and where I am, and apparently after this I need to hit save and then but I might have to get Pip to help me with that, because being a boy, I have a few issues with technology. So thanks for joining us today, Paul, and we'll see you again online at some stage.
Look, huge thank you. And like I said, I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing at NZARH, and you guys are really, like I said, an industry. Everyone needs you guys, and what a time we need you now, right? This is the time, and we're a huge support of that. Personally, myself and my team, and we always suggesting with all of our members, please just take up, this free gift that's been given by you guys to go on there. So it's in the reward shop. You just go have a look. You type in NZARH, you'll see there's an offer there. It's free, just to get an idea of what it's like being part of it. And I really suggest you guys get on there and be part of it. And we're doing the same in Australia. We've already had over 80 members show interest, from Sustainable Salons to the AHC. But guys, this is what the industry is all about. We need to come together and support each other, especially in these times. And that is sustainable growth, because if we're all loose and all on our own, we won't understand how to actually grow our industry, because it will always stay stagnant. So huge thank you. Thank you so much, Nick, for having me and letting me speak a little bit about what we do.
Exactly. All right. Thanks, Paul. And we'll put all the details online after this.